Alright, so we've gone through how to find inverse functions through under circle and everything. We've gone through how to use your calculator. Had a little help from Carl there. For the next thing, we need to figure out the composition of functions. So if we're talking about the composition of functions, that's where you're substituting one function into the other. So if we look down here at your arc sine, you're plugging your arc sine of x into your sine. So anytime you plug an inverse into the function, you end up and get just x. Okay, same thing goes. If you plug the function into the inverse, you get just the answer of x. So if we have the arc sine, or the sine of the arc sine of x, we get the answer of x. If we have the arc sine of the sine of y, we get the answer of y. Now the big thing you have to keep in mind is if you are finding the sine of a function, okay, this value right here, this x value, that is an exact value. So anytime your sine is out first, okay, is it written out first, in front of your arc sine, your answer is going to be an exact value. Kind of like the sine of pi over 4, well, your answer is radical 2 over 2. Anytime you have an arc sine or a sine to the -1 of sine of y, this answer here, this y answer, that is a radian value. So do not get those mixed up. Okay, if your arc sine is out front, you get a radian value. If your sine is out front, you get an exact value. Same thing goes for cosines and arc cosines, tangents and arc tangents. So if we look at example 5 here, if you had to find the tangent of the arc tangent of -5, then you end up and get just the answer of -5. Whew, that's tough. Well, what you're doing is you're taking the function, the inverse of -5, and then you're finding the function of that, -5. It's not too tough. Here you have to find the sine of the arc sine of pi. Well, your answer typically would be pi, but you have to make sure that whatever this answer is here is between your intervals, and since we're trying to find the sine is out front, that means you're going to make sure that this value is in the interval that is defined. Well, for the arc sine is between -pi over 2 and pi over 2. So is sine in between those two? Nope, it's not. So what we say is, since the sine is not between, or since pi is not between, and you don't have to write all this out, it's not between -pi over 2 and pi over 2, this is not possible. So you had to make sure that you could find the arc sine of pi first. So if we even try plugging this into the calculator, so say we clear this out, we say we want to find the sine of the arc sine of pi, you get, oh hey, not possible. Well, that's a bummer. Well, what if we tried for A, what if we try to find the tangent of the arc tangent of -5? -5. So you see how these work, because -5, this value for your arc tangent can be any value, all real numbers. For this arc sine, it has to be between -pi over 2 and pi over 2. So if we look at, knowing that, if we look at our cosine of our arc cosine, is 0.54 between -pi over 2, sorry, for cosine it's different, is it between 0 and pi? Well, considering that pi is a 3.14, 0.54 is in between. So we can actually say that 0.54 is going to be our solution. So when you figure these out, make sure you are in the correct range. If it's not in that range, then it is not possible.